Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie and I just wanted to make this video to quickly define what the difference is between different kinds of teachers and who are we supposed to listen to. What's an awakened person, what's a spiritual person, what's the average coach, psychotherapist, guru, where do they all land, who are we supposed to listen to? So in one of my meditations recently, I received this picture of this big sack. Imagine Santa Claus's sack that he carries on his back, and I understood that we're all actually within this sack here on earth. That when we incarnate, when we receive this body in this life, we enter this sack, and the sack is closed at the top, and so it's basically darkness around us as a natural state. But there's light implanted within our hearts and souls when we come here. And that light is something that nobody can take away from us. It will never leave. It just varies on the degree to which we feel it and listen to it. So that light is Source, God, the divine love, light, peace, joy, all of those wonderful things that we're all looking for, you can find in that light. And it's right within you. From inception, it never leaves. You carry it within you, it can never go anywhere. And this is where the yin and yang symbol comes. Even if you're operating in your life from a place of darkness, there's always light within that darkness, and that's the spark that you come with and come from. That is your source spark. It can never go away. You cannot get rid of it. So even the people who are doing harmful things from our eyes, mass murderers, people who are just harming others on a really large scale or a small scale, just person who lives in utter darkness, that spark never leaves. It can diminish, but it can't be removed. And it's the same for a person living in the light. In this 3D reality, there usually is that spark, that speck of darkness within us, because it's duality. This world is a dual world. There's always an opposite, darkness, light, cold, warm, winter, summer. There's always this duality going on, right, wrong, good, bad. So in this duality, in these bodies, there's always that speck of darkness, however small, within the person. Now, what is this deal with the awakened people, enlightened people, normal teachers? Well, I made this sketch that I'm going to refer to, and in the sketch I have all of these different people. Now within the sack, I saw us each living in a glass bubble. Our whole life is lived in within this glass bubble, and this glass bubble basically shows us and represents that we are separate from everybody else. If that glass bubble wasn't there, we'd all be one thing in this rucksack. But as long as there's bubbles around us, which is our body and our identity and our personhood, then we're separate from everybody else. We're in the same bag, but we're not the same as everybody else. And so from this place, we all live in the yin and yang symbol. And we're all operating from yin and yang. So because our bag, the sack we're in, and that's really locked tight, outside of this sack, if we are removed from our bodies, if we're removed from this bubble bursts when we die. Because when we die, the body, the mind, the structure that's holding us as a separate being leaves. You see, that structure is made up, it's constructed. It is not authentic. It's not our authentic self or who we really are. How do we know this? Well, because it dies, and who we are cannot die, because we have that speck of God within us, that energy. So it can only transform the energy. It can become from one thing to another thing, but it can't actually disappear. So we all live in this yin and yang symbol as long as we're alive. And because we're in this sack of darkness, we're in sack of separation, in the sack of duality, and because we are trained and programmed in our society in wrong ways, and when I say wrong ways, they're wrong just because they're not bringing us to where we want to be. Each person in their hearts wants to live in a world that's in line with that divine spark, a world of peace, joy, laughter, love, those sorts of things. But our programming ever since we're children is one of, sit down and be silent, sit down and do math and this and that, and you're not allowed to be heard, just seen. And there's all of these structures, you're supposed to dress like this and be like this and don't act like this. And so we're given all of these instructions. And one of the most critical instructions that we're given through all of this, the underlying unconscious thing we're teaching to each other, is that our value will come from outside. You need to get education for someone to give you a job. You need to dress this way so people think you're important. You need to look a certain way to be more valuable than others. This is a world of comparison where we have certain beliefs about who's winning and who's losing, who's more valuable, who's less valuable. And we treat each other in accordance with the value we perceive that the other has, and we treat ourselves the same too. We're very judgmental in this world, and if we go into anybody's mind, we will find a lot of judgment there, and we will find a lot of unhappiness there, which we're medicating through modern day systems, shows, TV, food, alcohol, drugs, shopping, all kinds of addictions that sort of calm this erratic voice within us that's unhappy and that needs more and that wants more and more and more and more and more and more. So all of these I'm talking about the general vibe, the general energy in the world. It's a general energy of greediness, a general energy of my value depends on how I am perceived and how I perceive myself. And so I have to show myself to be this person, this perfect person. But inside I'm not perfect. Inside I'm suffering. Inside I don't feel good. Inside I can't stay still. And so I have to consume all of this stuff that distorts my body, and now I don't look as good as I should. And so my values dropped, and now I hate myself and I hate others for valuing me this way. So you see, we get into these loops, the beliefs that we're taught, what our teaching has done, our programming, is get us into big ego loops of unhappiness and not being able to win, not being able to be up to standard, up to our own standards or the ones we perceive society has of us. And so it's a general place where people live in the darker side of the yin-yang symbol. Because of all of this loop going on. Lots of us have a negative voice in our heads before we even get out of bed. We start beating ourselves up. We look at the outfits in our closets, and we're already hating ourselves because we don't have anything to wear. I mean, how many people in the Western world use this phrase, I don't have anything to wear? And how many of us have so many clothes in our closet? When we say I have nothing to wear, we mean I have nothing to wear to match this idea of what I'm supposed to look like. This idea that's going to give me the value that I feel like I'm needing to get. So in this yin-yang symbol, most people in the bag end up living in the darker side of the circle. Because we're in the darker side of the circle, we need to medicate ourselves so that we can cope. Nobody can deal with being angry, unhappy, sad, depressed, suicidal, self-loathing, self-beating, hating, judging, criticizing. All of these negative emotions are intolerable, actually. Hatred, intolerable to just sit and live in that constantly. And this is why we medicate. This is why we go to something else to help shift our mind out of it and for a moment to get some kind of relief. And maybe we do get momentary relief. But as soon as we stop, we're in that dark circle again, we notice we're there again. And the truth is that we believe, and we are taught in society, as soon as you get the next thing, you'll get into the light part. Everybody wants to jump over to the light part of the yin-yang circle. Everyone wants to jump over to the light part of their lives. The light part will have more joy, more well-being, more laughter, more just authentic, general good feelings. And you don't need to medicate. You have this good state normally, unless you're triggered into your dark little circle, and the little circle can be bigger for others and smaller for some. It's not an equal yin-yang symbol for everybody. But that's what we're all striving for, really. And the person in the dark circle at the beginning of their journey to find this joy, this light part of their circle in life, this lightness in life, this joy in life, what they're doing is they're pursuing these external goals. I have to get fit and then I'll be good. I'll have to get rich and then I'll be fine. I'll have to look this way. I'll do surgery and I'll get boobs and hair and this and that, and then I'll be happy. And what happens to this person in the dark circle, in the loop, it's a loop that just brings more darkness, 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 dark. Because you can't find the light in that. You see, the light, we've said this before, right? The light is inside. We were born with it. But we're looking for it out here. No, I've explained, this out here, this sack we're in, is dark. We're in a closed sack, closed off from God. We've come down for separation purposes. So when we're looking out there, no, out there it's dark. Light isn't here. So the transformation for anybody is to end up getting into the light part of the circle, and this is what we call the spiritual awakening. Spirit is what we come, is that source, is that spark in us. When we connect to that, and we fan that, and increase that, and release that, slowly our life becomes transformed into this light part of the yin-yang symbol. And we find a life of well-being, of joy, of gratitude. But we do our spiritual practices. We're vigilant about what our mind is thinking. We're vigilant about not receiving and not expecting external value. And we're also very vigilant about not judging others. And we're very vigilant when we have negative events to trace them back to us and back to that dark spot within us, so we can dissolve that more and more. We don't just blame the outside. When you live in the light part of the yin-yang symbol, you are in full responsibility of your emotions. And that's why you're so free and everything's so joyful, because the outside is not affecting you constantly. You're now in charge of what's going on within your body-mind system. And you choose light. And it is the best decision anyone can make. Now, in my experience, you can teach people to get to the light part. So this is where a spiritually awakened person can help another jump over to the light part of the circle and become more spiritually awakened and have their life be transformed. The enlightened person for me is someone, before I go there actually, I need to also confront just the general everyday today helper and healer. We have doctors, we have nurses, we have psychotherapists, we have yogis and meditation teachers and all sorts of professions that are aimed at healing a person, making them feel better, healing their inner condition. Now, how is this applicable? All of these coaches, all of these dating gurus, all of this, all of that. How is it applicable? Well, for me, and I'm making this point in another video as well, but I don't believe in the right teacher and wrong teacher, and right thing and wrong thing. Everyone has their right teacher at the right time. I used this example in another video. If you're stuck at being single and you just want to get married and you just want your life to move on, you're in the dark place of the circle. But you believe truly, wholeheartedly, that as soon as you get the husband, as soon as you get the children, it'll change. It'll go into the light part. This is your wholehearted belief. At this point, I can't help you jump over. A person cannot help you look for the light part of the circle within you, because you wholeheartedly believe that this external thing is going to get you there. So a dating guru, a psychotherapist, anybody, a mind reader, a medium, anyone who's going to help you jump past your hurdle to that place of getting the husband and kids, they've brought you closer to being fed up and understanding that nothing that I get will complete me. Nothing I get will fulfill me. Nothing I get will end this crappiness in here and in here. When we understand that, it gets you one step closer to that. Nobody can be ready for the looking within until they're done with this. You have to have tried enough of this in this world of duality and have it not work before you say, oh, okay, I'm ready now to jump over. So every person helping, even if they're not awakened or not enlightened, they're doing the work that's supposed to help that person jump over to the next step. Everyone's teaching from where they're standing, and they're teaching the person behind them. Now here I want to talk to the enlightened person, because the enlightened person is not in this step-by-step, I'm here, I can help this one, or the enlightened person is out of the game. They're not in the yin-yang circle. The enlightened person is just one big light, one big ball of light, and it has all of it in it, and they don't see it as separate stuff. And this is the yellow circle that I've drawn on the bottom. The enlightened person, for whatever reason, for most stories that I've heard, all of them actually, that I've heard of enlightened teachers share their story, it happens, they have this spontaneous event that happens to them. And the sac is prickled and light floods in. And this is their experience now. They're enlightened. They live in the light. They are not in this yin-yang symbol. They are not playing in duality. They see everything as one. Trees, butterflies, dirt, humans, each other, murderers, nuns, we're all the same. I am not an enlightened being. I'm sharing what I understand from their experience, that it's what they feel like. But anyone who's not there, we don't get it. We can't get it. It's unlike anything we can imagine. It's something that in our small bubble, it is impossible for us to imagine. So I wanted to make this video especially for people striving for enlightenment. So many of us are just so, like, we get so gung-ho in, I have to find this enlightenment. And I have to tell you guys, if you are desperate for enlightenment, you're in your dark part of the circle. You're not even in the light one. Anyone desperate for enlightenment is the woman looking for the husband. Oh, when I get here, I'll be joyful. And enlightenment is a spontaneous event. You can't even get it. So how much anger and frustration is this building for you? You can't even get it. You go to the gurus, you go here, you go there, and it's not working because they didn't go anywhere to get it. It happened to them. And they're trying to tell you what their experience is, and they're trying to explain to us, and they're trying to give us tips. And they have a very important role and a very big gift to give us. But they can't exactly help us get there. So stop looking for people trying to teach you enlightenment. And again, the one thing, the one bottom line for everything is you are your own teacher. You have your own answers. So when I say don't look for it, and you feel like, no, I need to look for it, and someone will help me, hey, maybe it will. Do not listen to me because I'm getting it, the statistics and generalizing. It may be possible. You may be the first one that someone's taught, and now they can teach it. So don't listen to anyone. If you feel that what I'm saying is not right for you, don't listen to it. We each have a different teacher at different times in our lives. I mean, what I'm sharing is right for some and not for others, and that's okay. But this is what I received as sort of guidance and understanding of where we're all at and what we're all trying to do here. And I wanted to say it especially for the spiritual community, because a lot of us in the spiritual community are actually in the dark part of the circle. We just put the label spiritual here. We eat vegan foods, and we go to yoga, and we meditate, or say we meditate, and we wear this new label now here. I'm a spiritual being. Everybody else is crap. I can't deal with people because they're not spiritual. If you can't deal with people, you're not spiritual. You're not there yet. You may be on the journey to awakening. You can have those thoughts on the way to awakening. Spiritually, you can have a hermit mode where you can't talk to anybody, everybody's bothering you. So that's part of the journey. You could be part of the journey to awakening, but it's not awakened if you can't tolerate people. So that's very important. And I'm making this video so that we can understand, where am I on this journey and what should I strive for? And through my own personal experience, I think we should all strive for that light within, to fan that light within and live in the latter part of their circle. And if we become enlightened in our lifetimes, maybe we will, maybe we won't. That's not up to us, it seems, right now. And when you're striving desperately, it gets you out of your light. So why strive desperately? Let's release this thought and allow it to happen if it does, and not if it doesn't. So that's all from me. I hope it was helpful. I'd love to hear from you if it was. I'd love to hear from you, your own thoughts and views. And that's all from me. Bye.